Sex scandals have shaken Canada time and time again, from politics to entertainment, from powerful leaders to public figures. These stories don't just expose personal secrets. They reveal deeper issues of power, trust, and accountability in Canadian society. In this video, we'll uncover the most shocking scandals, explore their impact, and ask, what do they tell us about Canada today? Story 1. The Munsinger Affair. Cold War, Sex, and Politics. 1960s. In the chilly, buttoned-up Ottawa of the 1960s, Gerda Munsinger, a German immigrant with a complicated past, became the center of Canada's first major political sex scandal. She had social ties to men in the capital and, according to later investigations, intimate relationships with at least one cabinet-level official, Pierre Sévigny, Associate Minister of National Defense. When allegations that she had been romantically involved with politicians came to light, the story exploded beyond private scandal. Security services worried about the possibility of foreign intelligence exposure during the Cold War. The revelation sparked parliamentary inquiries, moral outrage in the press, and long debates about privacy, national security, and the double standard for men in public office. For Canadians, the affair was a kind of cautionary tale about how private liaisons could morph into matters of public consequence in an anxious international moment. Story 2. John Edward Brownlee. The seduction trial that toppled a premier. 1934. John Edward Brownlee was Alberta's premier during the Great Depression. In 1934, he was sued for seduction by Vivian Macmillan, a young woman who alleged a sexual relationship that began when she was 18. The trial was sensational. Lurid testimony, intimate details, and intense public interest. And although legal arguments and appeals followed for years, the political fallout was immediate. The premier's reputation was shattered, and he resigned. The case shows how, even in earlier decades, allegations of sexual misconduct could end political careers and reshape an era's politics. Brownlee's party was routed in the next election, and Alberta's political landscape changed dramatically. Story 3. Margaret Trudeau. Youth, fame, and complicated private life. 1970s. Margaret Trudeau, née St. Clair, wife of Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, became an international tabloid figure in the 1970s. Young, glamorous, and thrust into the glare of Trudeau mania, Margaret's personal life drew intense scrutiny. In her memoirs and interviews, she later recounted affairs and high-profile friendships with figures from the entertainment world to rock musicians, set against struggles with depression and the constraints of political marriage. Her story is not a single scandal in the modern sense, so much as a long public negotiation of identity, romantic life, and mental health while married to one of Canada's most famous leaders. It illustrates how infidelity rumors and romantic liaisons are often entangled with celebrity, gendered scrutiny, and the costs of public life. Story 4. The Wilson-Tyabji Romance, Politics, Ambition, and a Public Love Story. 1990s. In British Columbia, the relationship between opposition leader Gordon Wilson and his young House leader, Judy Tyabji, became a headline-making affair that mixed political drama and personal romance. Both were married to others when rumors and then evidence of a romantic involvement surfaced. The scandal changed party dynamics, helped undo a rising political force, and eventually led Wilson and Tyabji to form their own short-lived party. The episode captured the messy collision of private desire and public office. It wasn't merely the romance that shocked voters, but how it splintered alliances and reshaped careers. Story 5. Rob Ford, Scandal, Allegations of Escorts, and a Chaotic Mayoralty, 2010s. Rob Ford's mayoralty in Toronto became infamous for personal scandals that went far beyond ordinary political missteps. Reports over several years alleged that Ford had used drugs associated with criminal elements and at times brought sex workers into his orbit. The mayor's repeated denials, then partial admissions, produced a media storm that mixed questions of private morality with concerns about public fitness for office. While much reporting focused on drugs and criminal ties, the episodes that involved alleged paid escorts and propositions underscored how infidelity and sexual misconduct, combined with substance abuse, can cascade into a political meltdown. Ford's term remains a cautionary tale in modern Canadian politics about the speed at which private behavior can dominate public life. Story 6. John Tory, a mayor's resignation after an affair with a staffer, 2023. John Tory, who had cultivated an image of pragmatic, steady leadership as Toronto's mayor, resigned in February 2023 after acknowledging a consensual affair with a former staff advisor. The story broke in the Toronto Star. Tory admitted that the relationship had been a lapse in judgment that occurred during long periods of separation from his wife while he fulfilled mayoral duties during the pandemic. The rapid political consequence, Tory's resignation, shows how power imbalances, a workplace setting, and modern media scrutiny make relationships involving senior officials uniquely explosive. Public reaction mixed personal sympathy with institutional concern. Citizens asked whether workplace boundaries and trust had been violated and whether the mayor's judgment was compromised. Story 7. Tony Clement, Sexting, Admission of Infidelity, 2018. Tony Clement, a longtime Conservative MP, publicly admitted in 2018 to multiple acts of infidelity after reports surfaced of inappropriate online exchanges. Clement released an open letter to constituents acknowledging his wrongdoing and characterizing his actions as poor decisions made while under personal stress. The case illustrates a modern pattern. Private digital flirtations and sexting, once discovered, quickly become public and force reckonings not only about personal integrity, but about how digital life erodes private boundaries. Clement's admission and partial resignation from some roles showed the political consequences of crossing those lines. Story 8. Mike Allen, Prostitution, Sting, and Political Fallout, 2013. Mike Allen, an Alberta MLA, resigned from his party's caucus after being arrested in 2013 during a prostitution sting in Minnesota while attending a government conference. The arrest, which involved undercover officers, resulted in charges in the U.S. and intense local media coverage. Allen's case is an example of a modern infidelity-adjacent scandal where solicitation of paid sex, even outside Canada, intersects with public expectations for lawmakers' conduct. The local and provincial fallout included resignation from the caucus, legal proceedings, and public debate about privacy, punishment, and whether an elected representative could continue to serve. Story 9. Jian Ghomeshi, Power, Sex, and Criminal Allegations, 2014. Jian Ghomeshi, once one of Canada's most influential radio producers and hosts, was accused in 2014 of violent sexual assaults by multiple women. While the allegations were broader than infidelity, the case is an essential Canadian story about sex, consent, and media power. Gomshi's public persona as a charismatic host, the later allegations of abuse and violent behavior, and the high-profile trial that followed produced national conversations about workplace boundaries, consent, and how reputations are built and undone. Even where criminal courts reach particular outcomes, the public and personal consequences for victims, accused, and institutions remain profound. Story 10. Ashley Madison and Canada, the hack that made private betrayals public, 2015. In 2015, the Ashley Madison website, dedicated to facilitating extramarital affairs, was hacked, and the user database was partly released. Because the company was run by Avid Life Media, based in Canada, and because a large number of Canadian users were in the leaked dataset, Canada found itself at the center of a broader global moral and privacy scandal. Journalists and researchers noted high concentrations of accounts in Ottawa and other Canadian cities. The breach produced lawsuits, regulatory scrutiny, and mass public embarrassment for users who were identified. The incident wasn't a single love affair story, so much as a societal mirror. It forced families, employers, and public institutions to confront widespread private infidelity enabled by online platforms. And it raised complicated questions about privacy, culpability, and cybersecurity. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like it.